Heart of a Woman.
So we're back, Heart of a Woman, and we are going straight to the panel again. And before we went to break, we were going to discuss society's expectations of women in particular. So I know for me, my grandmother would say, you need to go to school, learn your book, get a work, then get a rich man, or get a man that has money, or somebody that will match your money, right? And I think those expectations, or I should say some unrealistic expectations, some of these expectations just not real. And I think that has put a strain or given the young lady some confusion. And before we went to break, Dr. Benjamin, you were talking about the list. And that's a question I had, do we have this list? Is this list so real, or is it just in your head? And you also shared that you have to know who you are. And I think that's the thing, to knowing who you are. And not just this crazy list or what you see on television, but knowing who you are. And when you could figure that out, then you can make this list. Yeah? So let's talk about society's expectations, those pressures that they put on us as women. Reverend Zelia, you want to pick that up?
Okay. Society put pressure on ladies, and that's why we have the list. It stems back from parenting, and some of it stems from poverty, where you say, find a rich man. Some of it stems from your own internal wanting, where you see on television. So I want a guy with nice hair so that my children would come out with nice hair. Or
and that is real, eh? You know what we would say in our society, we don't want late for school children.
Or late
yes.
for school.
Late for school children.
Right? So the list, as you say, is real, and society puts that on you, and especially for young women who are studying, and you have your clique, and you sit and you start to discuss, okay, now that we leave this educational institution and we look for a mate, we all have our list. Our girlfriends, we have a list, and we start looking at what is it that we need. And this is something, and I really believe that this is something that everybody has. Even the men, as he said, have a list. And so you push people sometimes beyond what they would want, because they want to fit in with other people just to have that list, so that we can all be in the same clique, the same group, the same social setting, because also it has a lot to do with where we would eat, where we would lime, where we would fellowship. Even church also is part of that whole standard that you have on your list. And society really has been pushing people in that direction.
But should society, and again I'm looking at the Christian audience, should society dictate that's, and I want to substitute and say values as against standard. Should society dictate that for us Christians? Or should the Word of God dictate that for us Christians?
Yes.
Because in reality, and the question about whether the list is a realistic list, and I think that question could swing both ways, because you could have a realistic list based on society, but you can also have a realistic list based on the Word of God. And I think that there must be a balance in your list that you would have, because again, you may say, for example, as you mentioned, you want a particular type of person because you want the curly hair. Is that really realistic? Is that really real? Is that just because you want to show off that you have a child that looks a particular way, the eyes are a particular color and so on? Okay, that's society's standards. But again, when you go back to the Word of God, the person may have all of society's standards, but as it relates to what the Word of God says in terms of finding a mate, because one of the main things is character. And you may have somebody that fit what society gives, but nothing to do with character. and then at the end of it, you start a relationship, you get married, and then you divorce.
And that's why I push that, because everybody has a list. And
nothing is wrong with
with-
the list.
right.
Nothing is wrong with the
Right.
list.
Yeah, I think it's
But it's where it's based,
advisable-
where
I think
it
it's
is.
advisable to have a list. I think it may change as time goes by. Relationships are important, and we don't need to jump straight to courtship, but just friendships and friendships with males. I think we should foster
And that's what it
more,
should.
you know, mixed sex, for the want of a better phrase,
Group,
relationships.
group.
Of course, in groups, yeah, so
Groups.
that, you know, we lower the sexual tension. But
Yeah.
I think we should advise that so that you can get to see, okay, I kind of like how that person moves, and maybe I can put that on my list in terms of integrity as my thing on my list, or I kind of like how that person moves, and you know, you adjust the list accordingly.
Right.
But I also want to say though that though we're talking about values and all those things, I think that's paramount, of course. But what I've recognized, even in my own experience, is that God is amazing, and He knows what you like, even physically. So
Yes.
even though eyes was not on my list, God knows that I love eyelashes. And
What color his eyes though?
Brown. It's
Okay.
brown.
And you heard the passion in the voice, you know?
When I saw that, I was like, God hooked me up.
Yeah.
I didn't even ask for this.
Yeah.
Because I always admired people's eyes and stuff. And when I saw him, I was like, okay, great. Whew. You know, so even with values and having a list that's godly and biblical, God will also provide your physical attractions, because you need to be attracted to the
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
don't think people should think that that's not important, because the reality is we are visual. Yeah? So, yeah, so those things are important.
And
But,
what about
you know,
adjustment?
I've observed that you have a couple, right? And the woman is extremely attractive, and someone will say, what's she doing with he? Or what if, you know, because in their mind that, you know, they're not compatible. So physical is important, but that person saw something past the physical, which is very important.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But
And
as
people
you-
have transformed over the years.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Yes.
Well, let's be careful of our words, and perhaps the person was not as eye appealing
Okay.
at the start,
Yes.
you know, but as time goes along, because the thing is, there's this whole thing of
Transformation.
love that comes
Transformation.
into play, and then there's a whole thing of growth and development that comes into
Yes.
play.
Yes.
And again, let's go back, the standards, right? For example, I was reading an article where somebody was saying that the person that they started a relationship with, the standards really wasn't that high. But now, the standards are very high.
Right.
And so they were speaking of that whole growth. And again, we need to be careful, because the things that society may label as a high standard or a high value may not necessarily count, because some of these things could change. Just the same way, you may see somebody today that is the ideal person. They meet every single thing on your list. And so relationship starts, you get married, and then the person changes, or you yourself change, that cause transformation in the other person, and then there's that whole breakdown. Now, the ideal is, and as you know, we would have mentioned that list over and over, the ideal is that even though you have your list based on society, based on what the Word of God says, based on reality, the fact is that you must submit that list to God.
Yes.
That,
yes.
I believe, is very crucial, because, and this is where I think you were asking about changes or modifications,
Adjustments.
and you would have said that. The reality is that you may say that you want somebody who is above 6 feet, but God may find the perfect person for you with everything else, but the only
the
thing
height.
they're not 6 feet.
Yeah.
What are you going to say to God? God, no. No.
And
I
I was, yeah,
prefer the
People do
6
that.
feet. I prefer, but then you get a 6 feet and everything else on the list.
everything else is wrong.
And
So
people
could
do
we
that,
agree that instead of saying standards, How about values?
Yes.
I
Values.
welcome that.
Values, yes.
Values. Yeah, values. I prefer values.
I fought a hard
Yeah.
case for that. Thank you.
So we agree now. So, or you're listening, and it's not lowering your standards, because I think that is everybody had different standards. But your values, and you're talking now. I'm thinking your beliefs, your spiritual beliefs, your Christian beliefs. You know, what do you believe in? And those are the things I think that you should hold on to, and not compromise.
Amen.
Your thoughts,
I think we all
Mr.
agree.
Benjamin?
Well, that is a very deep statement, because truth be told, me growing up in a very strict Christian home, within the strictness of the Christian home, just looking at my parents, they have differences in how they're Christian. There are slight differences in how they're Christian. What is good for my mother, my father will frown on it.
Right.
And he will be vocal about it, and she'll be like, huh. And then, vice versa in certain instances. So I think, and even now with me and my wife, we belong to the same faith, but we have differences here and there by what we hold of a very high esteem. So I think where that is concerned in a relationship, you have to understand where the person is coming from.
Right.
And you have to respect where the person is. And you have to understand that this is how the person was when you met them. It's not my job to get them to change. And you have to keep that respect for what they hold sacred. And once you're continually letting yourself know that, and keeping that level of respect is to me, that's one of the biggest things within our marriage, within our relationship, is respect. Because respect, you start how you deal with situations, because of the respect you have for the individual. It tends to be different. A woman, she may have a very hot mouth, but if she respects the man, and I think a lot of guys, they think they would gain respect because their pockets are deep. But a woman making more money than you, she don't, okay, your pocket's deep, my pocket's deep, come again.
My pocket's deeper.
But my pocket's deeper. So with getting respect as a male towards, in this society where women are making a richer sex, so to speak, you have to really know how to operate as a man to gain respect. In my past relationship, I were nowhere close to what she was making, but I had a certain level of respect, and I set, as we say, in standards. So I went waiting on her to take her out, and she came out, and I was like, "Where you went? You ain't going behind me, so." No. It's either you go by yourself, or you go back inside and change, and we go. I not set. And when, as the relationship progressed, her whole wardrobe changed. Because she know I am not going down that road, naturally. So as it relates to values, as we say in values now, and values is a very interesting topic to me. It's very crucial, I think, because I think that is what governs us as human beings, is where we put our value system on.
Great.
Excellent. If how you value yourself, how you value the other person. Now, with me, for me to reach to this position, I had to do a lot of work on me. And more work you do on yourself, you realize your value raise. Right?
Yes.
So as a man, you get to realize, okay, you do a self-audit. These are the things I have going for me. You be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
And these are the things that I don't have going for me. I'm going to work on the things that I don't have going for me, and I'm going to try to make what I have going for me better. No, it may take some money.
You're preaching this, but we have to go to a break, no?
Okay.
Yeah, but good job, good
Yeah,
job.
yeah,
Give him
yeah.
a round of applause. So, guys, we're taking a break and we'll be right back. When we come back, we will be taking some questions from our audience.
Heart of a Woman